Hi, my name is Eric Viegas. I'm the founder of the Kino.com project. Today we're going to talk about Angular CLI. So I'm going to go ahead and access the Kino website, and I'm going to click on Browse by Categories, and I'm going to click on the Client-Side Libraries category. And the tutorial that we're going to go through the steps today is called Introduction to Angular CLI. In this tutorial, we will learn how to build an Angular CLI application. Angular CLI is a JavaScript framework that provides to client application developers the same benefits and features that we encounter in a traditional object-oriented programming language. You can define types with properties and methods. You can build services and use dependency injection to inject them into the constructors of the components. Angular also allows us to implement directives, which is either a custom HTML element or a custom HTML attribute. The first thing we need to do is to install the necessary tools and libraries so that we can start building Angular CLI applications. The first one is the Node.js framework. In the screenshot of this step, you see the website that you need to access to download and install Node.js. Next, we'll create a folder where we will build our Angular CLI application. So click on the Windows Explorer shortcut in the taskbar. As you can see in the screenshot of the step, I created a new folder called Angular CLI. This is going to be our root folder for all Angular CLI projects that we create. If you're following along the steps of this tutorial, make sure to also create the Angular CLI folder. Next, we will generate the initial files of our first Angular CLI project. Click in the search bar so that we can find the command prompt tool. Type CMD in the search bar, and once you see the command prompt option in the result list, right-click on it. Click on Run as Administrator. We need to navigate to the new folder that we created. So we type cd space Angular CLI, and then we press Enter. Actually, it's backspace, not space. We need to install Angular CLI. In order to do that, we execute the following command: npm install-g for global installation at angular/CLI. So we type that command. I will not press Enter because I have already installed Angular CLI on my machine. However, if you're following the steps of this tutorial and you do not have Angular CLI already installed, make sure to execute this command. Let's open the browser so we can install the IDE that we will be using to implement the Angular CLI application of this tutorial. Click on the shortcut of the browser, and then we navigate to code.visualstudio.com. There are many choices for IDE when developing Angular applications. However, if you want to follow the same steps of this tutorial, make sure to download and install the Visual Studio Code IDE. The screenshot of this step shows the website you need to access. Let's return to the command prompt window. Now we are ready to execute the command that will create the initial files of our Angular CLI project. The command that we need to execute is ng-new, plus the name we want to give to the new project. In this example, we will create a new Angular CLI project called Testing Angular. So we need to type the following command: ng-new testing Angular. Once we press Enter, we will see the command prompt outputting lines indicating the folders and files that we created for our new Angular CLI project. Press Enter. We will not go over every single folder and file that were generated. However, if you want to deep dive and learn more about them, the following URL contains detailed explanation of each folder and its files. Let's navigate into the folder of our new Angular CLI project. For that, we need to type cd space testing Angular. Press Enter. Next, we will start the web server that was installed with the Angular CLI package and run our application. As most commands that we execute in this tutorial, this one also starts with ng. Then we pass the command serve and the switch operator -- open. This means the web server will kick off and start serving our application. Plus, the -- open switch makes an instance of our default browser open with our application loaded. So type ng serve -- open, press Enter. As you can see in the address bar of the browser, our application is hosted locally through port 4200. Although we have not built a single component or HTML content yet, we already see a web page with a title, logo, and some links. This is the default content created by the ng command, the ng-new command. Next, we will launch Visual Studio Code so that we can start implementing our Angular CLI application. I have a shortcut icon on my desktop for the Visual Studio Code application. I will minimize the browser window so that I can see the shortcut. I need to double-click on the Visual Studio Code shortcut icon. If you do not have this shortcut icon, try to search for Visual Studio Code application through the search bar in the Windows taskbar. The main reason I like to use Visual Studio Code to develop Angular applications is the fact that it is very simple in how it treats a set of files as a project. Instead of needing to create some special XML or JSON file to gather the files and define them as a project, all you need to do is open the root folder of your Angular project. In other words, Visual Studio relies on the physical structure of the files within folders to present it as a project. Let's open the folder of our new Angular project. Click on File menu, click on Open Folder, navigate to the Testing Angular folder, and click on the Select Folder button. On the left, you find the Explore panel. It lists all the folders and files within the selected Testing Angular root folder. The main files that make up our application are located in the SRC subfolder. Let's expand the SRC subfolder by clicking on the arrow. We will build a context management application. At the end of this tutorial, we will have an application that will allow us to create, edit, visualize, and delete contact records. But first, we need to create a type that will hold the properties of a contact. We define the contact type inside of a .ts file. We store the .ts files inside the app folder. Click on the right arrow to the left of the app folder. Right-click on the app folder, click on New, type contact.ts, and press Enter. For each contact record, we want to keep track of three properties: an identifier value, the contact's first name and last name. Go to the next step to see how you should implement this contact class. Next, we're going to implement the components. A component is a combination of three files with the same name and using the following extensions: .html, .css, and .ts. The .css file allows you to apply style and formatting to the HTML elements within the .html file of the component of same name. It does not apply to other parts of the application. The .ts file is the code behind file. In other words, it is the actual code implementation that defines the methods and events associated with the controls displayed by the component. We could generate the three files manually. However, it's easier to utilize the ng-generate component command. Let's do that. Let's go back to the command prompt window. You could open another instance of the command prompt window, but in this example, we will stop the web server and execute the commands to create components. However, it is important to notice that if you modify the content of your Angular project, the web server will automatically pick up the changes and recompile the application. Also, the browser will auto-refresh and show the changes. So I press Ctrl-Z to stop the web server, press Y and Enter. First, we will generate a component that will be responsible for displaying the list of contact records. So we type ng-generate component contact-list. Then we press Enter. Notice that the three files that I described earlier were automatically generated for you: contact.list.component.html, contact-list.component.css, and the same component name with extension .ts. It also created a fourth file, the component name with .spec.ts. This file is used to execute unit tests against the component using the Jasmine test framework. The ng command to run the unit test is ng-test. If you do not desire to create an Angular project with the spec.ts files, you can specify the --skip-tests flag when you execute the ng-new command. Next, we will generate the component that will be responsible for showing or editing an individual contact record. So let's type ng-generate component contact-detail. Then we press Enter. Next, let's learn how to use the ng-generate command to create Angular services.